Good afternoon, race fans. We are back. It is sprint racing at Donington Park, and this is like the worst I think this might be the worst combination of track and format that's possible in sim racing. Donington Park, narrow, small British track, right? Very difficult corners, paired with sprint racing, right? So there's no time here to take a breath and say, I got a minute. I can catch that guy in a second. We're doing two 20-minute races today, so this is going to get very interesting very quickly. Your boy Blue is in the chat. Thank you so much for being here, my man. I hope everybody's having themselves a great weekend. Suffice to say, I started drinking early today to be prepared for this race, and I think we're going to have a lot of fun. It's going to be fun. Hopefully it remains fun. I think it's going to. We're going to keep an eye on the server list here because I know that's going to bounce here in just a moment. And these guys will be getting booted out, as well as myself if I join. So, again, I do hope everyone's having themselves a wonderful weekend. Back to it tomorrow. It's Monday. Monday means work, but Monday also means something else. Euro Trip is back. That's right. Tomorrow, the Hungaroring. 7 p.m. UTC if you're up for a more casual race and race format. Very quick 15-minute qual, 30-minute race to bring folks together for Euro Trip. We also have coming up, though, look at that, starting April 5th. That's going to be Tuesday, right? Am I getting that wrong? I got to look at the calendar. I don't even know. Yes, Tuesday night, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I don't know what that means. I'm going to have to talk to Huff and make sure I understand. But I have a feeling it'll be at 10 p.m. The Beer League, Tuesday night, casual driving, starting with the Nürburgring. And multi-class racing with Cup cars and TCX on track at the same time, the BMW M2. That is going to be so much fun. And that's in conjunction with Trackalicious Sim Racing and 949. I wish I was going to be available to cover those races because I have a feeling they're going to be a lot of fun. Unfortunately, that is well on and past my bedtime because I got to get up early the next morning for work every day. So those guys are going to have a blast. If you're into it, exclamation point box in the chat. Come on over and hit that real quick, and you'll be able to join the Discord and get involved with Beer Cup Racing. Also, our regular season doesn't end today. Today, again, we're at Donington, but we're back next week, April 10th, at Mount Panorama, Bathurst, one of my absolute favorite tracks. Standard format racing, 45-minute race with a 20-minute qual. And again, don't forget, I want to give big thanks to Next Level Racing and Coach Dave Academy. You can see the prizes that our winners are going to receive this season right there on your screen. That track bundle going to the most improved driver as voted on by the community. So we want to thank them for being a part of Box3 Motorsports. And although season 2 just ended, what am I talking about? I'm talking about our Xbox League. And let me make a real quick fix here because this is new graphics. So I gotta fix some things up on the fly. Xbox Racing is back. And this hasn't even been announced formally on the Discord yet because I'm waiting to open registrations when I can talk to our server provider real quick on Monday. But Xbox Racing is back. GT3 League Season 3. We're kicking off at the Hungaroring on April 16th, 7 p.m. UTC. Again, 45 and 60-minute races. The drivers this season wanted a mix, wanted to bring it down a little bit from those 120-minute races we were running. But we're going to finish the season with a 2-hour at Suzuka endurance race right there with a 90 thrown in at Imola halfway through the season as well. So if you enjoy Xbox Racing, be sure and again hit that exclamation point box in the chat. That will get you over there real fast so you can join in on console racing at Box3 Motorsports. And hopefully we're going to take another quick look here. Hopefully the server is up and we will go ahead and look to join. Get right in there for today's sprint racing at Donington Park. As we go on board with King McGee up front, it looks like. King McGee back on track today as the 10-minute free practice kicks off. A great grid, 38 drivers out there today at Donington. Now, see, it frustrates me that King did that right there because I used that pile of tires to make my hay packs. So with that gone, it makes it a little harder to hit where I want to hit when I'm out driving at Donington. E-Fife in the chat. And thank you, Huff, for that subscription to the channel. You guys are fantastic. We'll switch over to race cam here. Nobody wants to look at my ugly mug throughout the rest of the race today. Fife in real life weather makes it interesting. I love that we use in real life weather. That will continue throughout season 3 over at Xbox. I think the PC guys are doing the same. In fact, I believe it was supposed to rain at Donington this weekend, but the weather cleared up right at the last moment and showed very limited chance of rain. So we may see clear weather for both of our sprint races today. But again, King McGee returns back on track. Will Green back in the Mercedes. Christoph Arts returns in the BMW as well. Arts, one of our faster drivers, has done very well this season in PC ACC competition. As I take just a moment and turn some things down in my ear, they were a little loud for myself. Hopefully not too loud for your phone. Let me know if they are, of course. John Tracy out on track in a very sparkly looking BMW. Now, pre-race, pre-stream here today, what I was seeing was some 127s, some 128s from the drivers. It looks like so far that's kind of what we're seeing, right? Gress up front right now with a 127.3, and King McGee just surpassing him. Again, that 127.3, but beating him by about a tenth of a second. So it looks like that's where our pro class, our very fast drivers are going to sit in that 127 range during today's sprint races. So just to remind everyone of the format, pre-practice right now, a little under 5 minutes left to go. We will go in with a 10-minute qual, 20-minute race, another 10-minute qual, and another 20-minute race during today's event. King McGee taking his place back up front. Piner just now coming out of the pits, but Piner able to clamp down with a 127.3 as well. Just about 300ths back from King McGee as he waits for traffic to clear. Anthony Anderson back in a Lexus. Chris Moses right there as well. Another Mercedes on track today. 40 drivers at this point. Chief Blaze joining the paddock. Been a little while since we've seen Chief on track. Great to see him back out there. Boscato as well joining in. A little late during the free practice today, but again, we're up to 40 drivers at Donington. Now, like I said, Donington, a very short circuit. I mean, you're seeing those times come in, right? Our top drivers at a 1:27. This is not the 2-minute 20-second Spa. This is 1 minute 27 seconds. It's a very tight track, very narrow. We take a look at the map. You know, the map doesn't show how narrow this track can be, but racing GT3 cars here, I would say, is very comparable to Olton. The track is narrow. Your pass points have got to be selected very well, or you're going to cause incidents. Not everywhere on this track is the best place to look for a pass. Particularly Sector 1 can be very difficult to look for passing opportunities there. It's very fast. You know, the corners in Sector 1 are very quick. And so there's not a ton of opportunity there unless someone makes enough of a mistake that they've drawn themselves offline and allowed that door to swing open for you. Coming into Sector 2, however, that long back straight gives a little more opportunity with the, you know, before you get down to the chicane, and then that very quick and very slow 180 degree turns at the end of the circuit in Sector 3 really provide very little opportunity. So we'll be looking for all the action in Sector 2 today to see what people are able to set up as far as passing goes. Don Tracy bumping himself up to the P4 during our practice session. So a lot of 127s. We're seeing 127 from P1 all the way down to P7 at this point, with Fernandez and Kurtz joining in. From there, a few 128s, and then following down a lot of 129s all the way down to P24. So again, sprint races, folks. We're going to see a lot of tight racing today, and hopefully everyone able to keep it clean as they jockey for position coming into this first race. Just about a minute and a half left to go in today's free practice. We'll leave you on track here with Kurtz as we take a quick break and just wait for qualification to get started. ET Bubs in with the sub. Thank you so much for being here, Bubs. Thank you for that sub. You guys help pump this league up, and I appreciate it from each and every one of you. I'd forgotten I renewed my subscription halfway through the week. Will Green now able to step up into P1 during this free practice with a 127.1. So as I said, a lot of jockeying for position up front. 127's now extending all the way down to P8 with Pickett joining in. They're back in the pink pig Porsche. I say it slow on purpose. Remco Otten's back on track today. But again, those 127s stretching all the way through P8. That is absolutely insane. And with this being sprint racing, it's going to get scary real fast as we wait for qualification to get started here for race 1 at Donington Park. Again, big thank yous to Huff and DT Bubs for their subscriptions to the channel. Don't forget, if there's other ways, if you'd like to find another way to support Box3 Motorsports, you can always hit !shop in the chat. Check out some of the merch we have available. If you want to look good while you're sim racing. And obviously subscribe here on Twitch. Everybody running off track looking at free practice. Shutting down here as we head back towards the pits. Brown, the last one to come across before we get ready. And our first of two 10-minute qualifying sessions kicks off. Look at the number of drivers we got. I mean, you can see again now 41 with Zap Brannigan joining the paddock. Guys looking to maximize that drive time during qual. 40 drivers at Donington. This is going to get really tight. Retro Coffin back out on track today. One of our many Porsches. 8 Porsches on track at Donington today. That's a lot. That's a lot of Porsches. As we said earlier, Wilson Fernandez out in the BMW. DJ returning in another Porsche. That Box 3 livery. Shining in the lowering sun. As you see, 7 p.m. track time. It may start fading into darkness here during this qualification. So King McGee now on his flying lap. Let's go on board with him. We saw him come out of the pits pretty quickly. He should have clean air all the way around. We'll see what kind of track time he can set on this first of what I'm sure will be a few flying laps. Welcome in, Whelp Cakes. Thank you so much for being here. I want to thank everybody for being here in the chat. There we go. King McGee with the first lap. Garton right there behind him, though, with a 120. All three drivers. Will Green, Garton. All three of these guys coming in just hundredths of a second short of each other. All in the 127.3 range. Now, obviously, we're going to see that change a lot with the 6.5 minutes remaining. But thus far, those are the three. King McGee, Will Green, and Garton sitting at the top of the leaderboard to start race 1 today. Whelp Cakes, you are not lying, sir. Thank you for pointing that out because it's installed, it's paid for, right? But it doesn't work, so I can't use it. That was the whole point of paying for it. We look now with a quick change, and there is our first of the day. Piner dropping a 126.5, 7/10 over King McGee. Now, you guys saw it during the free practice. The highest we saw was a 127.1. Piner now in the Porsche just climbing to the very top. Going to take pole as of right now with a 126.5, our first 126 of the day. Yeah, well, I don't use it personally because when I race myself, I race in VR, either on iRacing or ACC. And the setup for getting it to work in VR is just a little ridiculous, and I haven't taken time to do it yet. But that said, you know, my main use case was here for the races. It just doesn't work for that, unfortunately. George Garton currently sitting in third with a 127.3, and King McGee now able to bring it down to a 126.8. So we've got two 126s here during qualifying, a little bit less than half the time to go. Oh, pit wall's working on overlays. Huff and I talked about pit wall, but I didn't see anything with overlays, so that's why I hadn't jumped on it yet. But if they're going to be coming with overlays, that would be fantastic. We need something, right? Better than what ACC provides. So I'm hoping someone's going to come up with a better solutions. And as my dogs go nuts. Piner again. Piner and King McGee, the only two now currently holding at 126. Garton in with a 127. Will Green still sitting at a 127.362. John Tracy right up there, however. 127.6 flat, putting him up into fifth. Thank you for that, Whelp Cakes. I will take a look after today's race. Again, Piner continuing to hold on to P1 with that 126.5. We're going to have to see if anybody can catch him with that. King McGee down there as well. And Will Green able to cross into the 126 threshold with a 126.895. Garton Grass, Tracy Arts, and now, as everything changes, Garden Grass, Pickett, Tracy, Arts, Anderson, and Haynes, rounding out your current top 10 with just over 2 minutes left to go in today's qualifying session. Tobias Gable joins us again this week. Great to see him out there. I love watching Tobias run. Wangle Snatcher is back. I just like saying his name. That's why he'll get more screen time than most, because he has just a fantastic name. But if you want screen time at Box 3, since I do all the broadcasting, you got to drive an Audi, as Adam Thomas comes out today with What Apex Sim Racing. Zap Brannigan is back, however, in that very colorful Porsche, and getting himself up into P16 during this first qualifying session. A few drivers, very interesting to watch, because we got a few drivers, at least one of whom I know to be very fast, deciding not to qual during this first race. With only 1 minute to go, they've sat in the pits. One of them being Brian Canopin, Mr. Crow. Esports legend Brian Canopin, Crow himself, staying in the pits and not qualifying during today's session. But we will see how that goes. Again, Piner still holding that pole position. The 126.5, only holding sectors, purple sectors in 2 and 3. Will Green bumping himself now up to P2 with a 126.7 ahead of King McGee, but holding sector 1 with 20 seconds flat. As we said, King McGee currently running in 3rd. Yannick Kurtz moving up into 5th. Now down to 6th with John Tracy jumping up. As our qualifying session comes to an end, let's throw the times up there again. Piner, 126.5. Will Green, 126.7. And King McGee right there with a 126.8. And even John Tracy able to sneak into that 126 range, along with Gress right at the end. So we got 5 drivers in the top, our top 5 all hitting 126. And then you see there, the 127s extend all the way down to P14 and bottom, from there down 128. So again, I can't reiterate this enough. A lot of very tight driving on a very tight course. And these are sprint races, 20 minutes each. We got to see how much time these drivers are going to try and take to find those pass points. And they don't exist in a very numerous manner at Donington. So all that being said, it's going to get very curious very fast. I mean, Christoph Arts, this shows you the level of competition. Christoph Arts, one of our faster drivers at Box 3, currently sitting in P10 during today's qualify session. Now we'll see where he jumps to, because he is currently about 2/10 up. He's lost a little bit of time through that corner. Going to be one of the last to finish. We'll see if he can get himself a little higher for this qualification today. And no, a ton of time lost. He comes into the pits. But Christoph Arts will start P10 today. We jump back and wait for today's first race to get started. Again, we're here for an 8 p.m. 20-minute race. It's going to get dark, ladies and gentlemen, for race 1. Let's bring up those timetables. Piner and Green will share row 1. McGee and Tracy in row 2. Gress and Garton, row 3. Hertz and Pickett, row 4. Fernandez and Arts in row 5. And that is your starting top 10 for today's first race. Zach Brannigan in this Porsche all the way up to P11. Going to share row 6 with Anderson. Haynes and Sheffer in row 7. Moses and Ottens, row 8. Gable and Wanglesnatcher, row 9. And with Gray and DJ bringing up row 10. And there you see the rest of today's drivers and where they finished. And as I said, you look there at the bottom, Ryan Canopin, Steven Aguilar, and Blaze all choosing to not qualify during today's first race. It'll be very curious to see, how that ends up working out for them. One of the things I forgot to mention earlier, ladies and gentlemen, while we wait for today's race to get started, do not forget, coming up in just about 2 weeks, Saturday, April 16th, 10 a.m. UTC, 24 hours of Imola, multi-class racing. This is going to be a crazy race, and you're going to be able to watch all of it right here at Box 3 Motorsports. We're going to be here for the entire 24 hours of Imola. Apex Sim Racing, providing a button box to the random driver. We're going to give that away live on stream at the end of the race. Absolutely, we want to thank them for their support. But the race itself is just going to be absolutely fantastic. And again, you're going to get to watch all of it right here, live, for 24 hours, starting April 16th at 10 a.m. We're going to roll all the way to Sunday, 10 a.m. UTC. It's going to be great. As our drivers line up for the start of the first race today. Again, Piner and Green in row 1. McGee and Tracy, row 2. Gress, Garton in row 3. And thank you, TG. Yeah, he did change to the Audi. He's been running that for the Coach Dave 1000 series that Box 3 is participating in. And so that is more than like, yeah, obviously that would be why he did not qualify. Still interesting to see, right? Like, he didn't even go out on track. And a lot of times guys will try to, like, even if they don't set a qualifying lap, they'll try to go out and get a little practice in or what have you. So, Chief Recovery drive up to P1. Fife, you spent time on track with Chief. Come on. I love him. That's my boy. You know he ain't making P1. That's like saying I would make P1. It's not going to happen, Fife. Every other car on the track could bin it into T1, end up in a pileup over in the sand, and let me right on by, and I still wouldn't end up in P1. Again, things going to get dark here at Donington for our first race. Now, I don't know if anybody caught it, but that second race starts at 5 p.m. We'll have sunshine, but the lights are on at Donington Park tonight. And while we watch the formation lap get started here, just to mention, if you have not yet signed up for that 24 hours of Imola, you're a member of Box 3, I absolutely encourage you to do so. Put a team together. I believe it's anywhere from 2 to 4 drivers make up a team. Huff would be able to clear that up after today's race if you have questions about it. But if you have not yet signed up, I encourage you to do so. It's going to be a ton of fun. We're going to have some great fun here on stream. I want to encourage people to listen. If you know people that want to come in and who maybe have never watched sim racing, maybe they want to get into it. Maybe you know somebody who's seen your rig, who's seen you drive, and they're like, man, I'd really like to try that, right? As we see, Garton there has gone into the pits, so we'll continue to keep an eye on that. But my point being is that we're going to give away a copy of ACC during that race. Going to give a copy give away a copy of Assetto Corsa as well. I have those Steam keys ready to go to give to someone during the course of that 24-hour race. And multi-class. We're going to have everything from GT3, the Cup cars, and I believe BMW M2 is on track for that race. It is going to be just fantastic to watch. Imola, a nice short circuit, not a lot of time to spread out. You have a lot of action during the course of a 24-hour race. Andrew Haynes back with us this week. Zap able to qualify in P10. Great to see. John Tracy really making a name this week at Donington. You know, John, we don't typically see positioned quite as high. A great driver, a very consistent driver, but not someone who's typically lapping that hard and fast. And today putting himself into P4. Same with Pickett in that pink pig Porsche right there in P6. You see him just a little bit in your background as our drivers go into double file, getting ready for the start of the first race today. A lot of change-ups with Piner up front, Green right next to him, King McGee, John Tracy, Gress and Pickett, Kurtz, Fernandez, and Arts, along with Zap, rounding out the top 10 as we get ready to go live. Green lights are gonna fly at Donington Park. And the flag is dropped. Pickett pulling a drive-through penalty right off the start as we head down into T1. Piner able to hold the inside line, and we've got some bump and Pickett off the course now into the dirt. Jump back and check on these guys. A lot of position changes all the way through. And it's brutal after T1. Oh, that is not good at all. Wow, come on. Dude, this is what we talked about starting up at the beginning of this race. Donington Sector 1 is not the place you look to make your hole shot, right? It's not the place you make your moon shot, because Sector 1 is so fast. You come out of T1, you're downhill, and until what you just saw right there, until that corner, there's no brakes there. There's none. You're going 100%, and there's no way you should be looking for a pass there, as Green now shoots by Piner, taking up position P1. Piner off track for a minute, now letting McGee by. OMG is right. Oh my lord, from Gonzuk in the chat. You're not wrong. That was absolutely atrocious. I have to say it. It was terrible, but Kurtz now pulling himself up into P4. John Tracy losing position to Kurtz as we finish out our first lap here. Our front runners all very close. Our top 5 all within a few tenths of each other. At least now 3 drivers into the pits off the first lap. Donington is not the track to play your games. It's not. And I understand this is sprint racing. And this is why I said when we started today's broadcast, the worst combination, Donington plus a sprint race, right? These guys only have 20 minutes to make up their time. It's going to get brutal. Will Green now currently leading his fastest thus far, a 1:33.6. We'll watch those times come down as he gets up. With Kurtz now making the move on Piner. Jump back real quick and take another look at that, because I moved the camera off just at the wrong time. Piner a little wide down the straight, and this corner right here into this straight is where I told you I think we're going to see a lot of passes today. Otten's also able to make a move, get ahead of Santos down the same stretch of track. A little bit further back the pack, Garton getting around Kesar. Brian Kennepin already finding himself in P18 after no qualification, getting around Brown. As it continues to darken around Donington Park, our front runners still very tight. Will Green continues to lead with King, McGee, and Kurtz right behind him. Piner and Tracy round out your top 5. Soul now able to get ahead of Taylor. Garton able to pull up as well. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 drivers all in the pits. Brian Canopin now on the back end of Zap Brannigan. Esports legend Brian Canopin. See how long Zap can hold on. Zap, a very, very safe driver, a very consistent driver. I've been on track with him, you know, outside of league races, and this is a guy who I can tell you can drive right next to you and never cause a problem. It is unbelievable. So let's see how much defense he can play. Also keeping an eye up front with Moses and Sheffer battling for P7 right now. We'll jump over as needed. Oh. Zap continuing to play defense. Will Green continues to lead up front. King, McGee, Kurtz, and Piner all right there. And again, if you talk to Zap, Zap's going to tell you he's very slow, but right now doing a great job making that Porsche as wide as possible to keep Brian Canopin at bay. Brian keeping it very clean in the Audi, looking for the opportunity. And you see there, he's not looking for it right now, though, sitting in Sector 1. He's going to play the game and wait until he finds that clear open air, possibly in Sector 2, which is kind of starting right around this point. King, McGee, and Will Green up front have spread out ahead of Kurtz and Piner now. John Tracy still running in 5th. Zap now able to get ahead of Gray. And now with a little bit of breathing room from Canopin. how long it'll last as Remco Ottens continues to drop back as well. We see how tight things are going to get right here. Gray and Canopin battling right behind him. Side by side coming down the stretch into T1. Canopin a little offline, but able to take the inside of the corner and hold on. Remco Ottens and Zap up front, in front of these guys, battling as well. Let's pull the camera back a little bit, see if we can catch everything. A great battle back here for P14, 15, 16, 17, 18. All these guys running very close. Remco Ottens leads the pack. So now Zap Brannigan looking for his opportunity as well as needing to play defense against Crow. Just under 13 minutes left to go in this race. Now, in talking to Zap earlier this week, I'm not a Porsche driver. I've never driven the Porsche, but from what he told me at least here at Donington, able to brake a lot later than some of the other vehicles on track today. So we'll see if that pays him any kind of advantage as Crow looks to go to the inside. Will Green now opening up here, our only 126 during today's race as we keep an eye up front. But now Will Green is off track. Let's hold on. Let's jump back, see what happened to Will. Coming down the hill, and I'm willing to bet, yeah, maybe. Yep, right there, a little too much curb. Will Green, our race leader, throws himself out. Kurtz, Piner, all able to get around. Now King McGee falling back to P4 as Piner gets around him. So Will Green losing at least one position to Kurtz. Kurtz now leading. Zap and Brian Canopin continuing to play, and Brian getting the inside track on Zap. Welcome in, Poppin. Good to see you. So Brian now with clean air going to open it up a little bit. We'll see if he can catch up to Ottens, getting himself up in the P15 from a no-qual start for race 1. Ottens about 2.8 behind Anderson. And now Remco going to have to play some defense against Pro. That said, allowing Zap to tighten it up. Gonna watch it right here. Brian Canopin looking for his opportunity against Remco Ottens. Wangle Snatcher moves himself up into the top 10, getting around Sheffer, taking P9. Race now halfway over, just about 10 minutes left to go here in our first of 2 sprint races at Donington Park today. Crow on the outside. And Crow looking to shoot the inside and able to take it. Can he hold it? Oh, it dips into the dirt. Now losing that position back to Ottens, but Zap right there to attempt to capitalize off it. You keep an eye up front as well. Kurt's currently running away now, 5 seconds ahead of Will Green, but John Tracy under pressure from Piner now for P3. This could be a podium decider right here. Arts and McGee behind them as well. You see McGee making the swing to the outside on Arts. And Brian Canopin able to make the pass on Ottens. Let's back it up and take a quick look. Ottens going a little wide into the corner. Gives Brian the open door to the inside. And there's that straight we talked about, right? Sector 2 into Sector 3. This is where we would see the action. And sure enough, that's where we're seeing the action today. Santos and Anderson about to battle down the same stretch of track. Oh, and a push and some weird server things going on right there. That was very odd. As Wango Snatcher is off track. Moses now off track. Things getting very strange, but let's jump up here to Tracy and Piner once again. Looked very odd. A lot of jumping around. Wango Snatcher now into the pits, losing position quickly. Chris Moses under pressure from Canopin now. Continue to watch that Tracy Piner fight up front. Right in front of these guys, though, too. Santos leading a pack of 3 with Anderson and Haynes flipping at his heels. There it is. Anderson able to sneak through on Santos to the inside. Haynes still right there with him as well. Oh, and a spin right there. Santos off track, losing position quickly. Brian Canopin gets around and is also able to catch up with this group. Moses off track as well, along with Ottens. So Gray pushes up into P12. Garton right there for P13. So Gray leading a tight pack now. If we pull the camera back a little bit, it looks like a gap, but every one of these guys under 1 second. And now Brian Canopin applying pressure to Haynes, looking for a top 10 finish with just, well, exactly 5 minutes left to go. Brian Canopin, no qualification at the front of today's race. Now shooting for a top 10. As Tracy and Piner continue to battle up here. And Canopin makes the pass. We jumped away just a second too quickly. Down into T1. Haynes goes wide, opening the door for Canopin to get around. Securing that top 10 as of right now. But Tracy and Piner battling with King McGee, closing the gap quickly. John Tracy's doing a fantastic job. If you're looking to hold someone like Piner at bay, John Tracy's giving you a giving class today, right? He's hosting a session. Y'all might want to watch because he is doing a fantastic job at it. Heiner, no slouch. Certainly a very fast driver. A very consistent driver with his laps. And John Tracy keeping him right there, holding onto that podium with just under 4 minutes left to go. A lot of drivers into the pits for this first race. We saw the carnage in lap 1. We saw a little more carnage later in the race. Canopin now up into P9, getting around Anderson a little further back. Moses dropping off, letting Garton and Gray by. Oh, and Tracy loses it. Now we got to take another look at that real quick. That did not look, it didn't look like contact. It looked like John lost control of the back end of the car versus actual contact. I could be wrong. Maybe a little push from Piner is what started that, but John Tracy now sliding into 5th. King McGee, though, Piner giving up position. King McGee sliding into 3rd with Christoph Arts now sitting in 4th. Piner drops back. I think he knows he made the mistake and drops back to give position to Tracy, losing 2 positions himself. But right now we're going to watch Gray as Moses gets around. Remco Otten's right there looking to take advantage as well, along with Zap Brannigan. And Zap able to clear Otten's. Gray and Moses now going to fight. Oh, and Moses shooting across the grass, slowing him right down, giving Gray the chance to shoot by. Zap to the inside. Zap able to gain on Moses as well through the corner. And Moses struggling with the back end of the car around coming out of that. Now Moses and Ottens. A little bit of a love tap from Ottens. A little further back, P19, Keesar and DJ battling. Thomas right there to give chase. Thomas able to clear DJ now. The Audi stuck between 2 Porsches. Yannick Kurtz continues to lead right now with Will Green sitting in 2nd and King McGee in 3rd. Gotta check in up here again though. Gray with Zap Brannigan, Moses and Ottens all right there. Just 30 seconds left to go in the first of 2 sprint races here at Donington today. These guys are going to battle to the end. Seabook able to get ahead of DJ Givens. And there, the timer has run down. Yannick Kurtz continues to lead, now just under a 1 second gap back to Will Green up front. As we keep our eyes right here, Zap Brannigan under pressure from Moses. We'll watch it up front. Piner tightening up on on Tracy a little bit. But Zap fighting for his life back here, and Yannick Kurtz crosses the line first. With Will Green in 2nd, King McGee in 3rd, Christoph Arts in 4th. Jump up though, John Tracy able to finish in 5th ahead of Piner. as Sheffer and Canopin come down. So Brian Canopin, no qualification today, starts way down towards P40, ending up in the top 10 due to the calamity that was the front of this race. Zap Brannigan able to move into P13 ahead of Gray, and it looks like he will carry that. But Zap pulling a 30-second penalty at the end of the race. Maybe a little cutting out there, a little corner cutting at Donington Park. And there you have it. Yannick Kurtz, Will Green, and King McGee make up your podium for race 1 today at Donington. Arts and Tracy finishing out your top 5. Piner, Gable, Sheffer, Canopin, and Anderson are your top 10 for race 1 of our sprint race series at Donington Park. Don't go away, ladies and gentlemen. We got another 10-minute qual and another 20-minute race coming up. I encourage you to stay with me today. Keep your cameras focused right here because, well, we got another race coming up. Kind of a show in race 1, though. I have to say, lap 1, not the best performance we've seen from our drivers, right? I think everybody can agree with that was watching at the time. T1 was fantastic, very clean. But as Will said during the drivers meeting, it's almost as if, everybody hears T1, be safe into T1, and then they forget that the minute T1 is clear. And that's what we saw today. And Sector 1 at Donington is not the place to go to look for passes. I really don't believe it is, and I think a lot of our drivers should understand that. But we'll see how race 2 turns out. It'll be daylight. Qualification going to start here in just a few moments. Till then, however, I'm going to ask all of y'all, I'm going to take a quick break. Don't forget, though, we don't just do sprint racing here. We're back next week. Bathurst, Mount Panorama for a standard race. 45 minutes with a 20-minute qualification. I love Mount Panorama. It's one of my favorite tracks. I hope you will all join us here next weekend for that. And we want to give big thanks to Next Level Racing and Coach Dave Academy for providing the prizes you see there to our pro and silver class winners. Coach Dave also giving up a track bundle to our most improved driver, and that's going to be voted on by the community. So if you're into sim racing, if you enjoy sim racing, you know what? If you want to watch, just come here. You can watch us every week. We'd love to have you. If you actually want to sim race, though, !box in the chat. We'll give you the link to our Discord. Come over and join us. We've got, and again, that's our PC season, right? That's what you're watching today. If you're a more casual racer, if you're someone who says, man, I don't know about league racing, like some people take it, like I'm one of those. I'll admit it. I'm one of those. I mean, like people are, some people, they take it way serious. They're racing for points. They don't, I don't know that I'm ready for that. That's okay. Because in conjunction with Trackalicious and 949, starting Tuesday, April 5th, Tuesday Night Beer Cup kicks off. You see it there for 5 weeks into May. What are we going to be doing? 10 p.m. Eastern time. Come on in. Have some fun. These guys are going to be racing the Porsche Cup cars, BMW M2, multi-class racing across 5 weeks. Completely casual. Come enjoy yourself. What do we also have? Eurotrip continues tomorrow at the Hungaroring, April 4th, 7 p.m. UTC. It's about 3 p.m. Eastern, I think, if I'm doing my math right. I don't have time to look it up. You're right, Huff. Beer Cup is going to be a blast. So again, if people are more into casual racing, I encourage them to jump in because we've got Eurotrip, we've got Beer Cup starting up, and in talking to the Xbox guys, let's talk about Xbox for a minute. Because Box3 also does Xbox GT3 Season 3 kicking off on April 16th with a 45-minute run at the Hungaroring. You see, we've got 12 weeks. We are built out all the way to July. If you are an Xbox sim racer, come and join us. You're going to love it. But here's the cool part is it's going to take some time, but we're also going to look to maybe start up some of the casual racing on the Xbox side too, right? So it's not just about league racing. It's not just about points. It's not just about running into, not running into people you shouldn't be doing, or at least you should be doing as little as possible. It's also about coming out and having fun with a league that is a community first and a league second right? A sim racer second. Community first, sim racer second is what we like to say, because no matter what, at the end of the day, we want everyone to respect each other. We want to have a good time on track, and we want to engage with as many people as possible. So if this is anything that you think you're into, by all means, come on over to Box3 Motorsports on Discord. Join in. You're going to find a great community of people that get along together. I mean, look, we only race, like, if you look at the PC, we race on Sundays, Mondays, and Tuesdays. Those are the only organized races. But I can tell you from experience, a lot of our members come together and are racing evenings, their time. Like, maybe it's late evening in the UK, in Europe, but like, you know, early evening, say 4 or 5 p.m., whatever, on the East Coast of the US. And even later, I got up this morning. Who was on this morning? Was Huff still up this morning? No, Huff wasn't up this morning. A lot of these guys go all night doing pubs together, and they're just hanging out. It's not for points, right? It's not for bragging rights. It's just hanging out. And that's why we say we're a community first. So I encourage each and every one of you to join us for that if you haven't already. Steadfast, you need to come back to driving, sir. Need to see you on track. But with that, folks, again, I am going to take a quick step away. I appreciate everyone being here as we get this qualification underway. A little over 8 minutes left to go. I'll be back before qual is over. We'll get ready for race 2. Give me about 3 or 4 minutes and I'll be right back with you. As promised, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. 5 minutes left to go in qualifying. Right now, Piner sitting in the pits, but sitting up front with a 126.9. So not quite as fast. He's coming back out, but not quite as fast as we saw during the first qual. Very early, we had some 126.5s in there, 126.6. So we'll see if Piner's going to be able to hold on the P1 going into this second race, or if someone's going to jump back up. Gress currently sitting right there on your screen, sitting in P2. So we're being run out by 2 Porsches up front, but he's at a 127.060. So basically 127 flat. The curious part right now, we bring up the times, you can see right there, Gress, Garton, and Green each holding a purple sector during this qualifying session. Kurt's now jumping himself up front, taking purple in sector 2 with a 127.055, just barely pushing Gress out of row 1. Garton jumping up as well, holding now sector 1 purple in that M4. We'll see what kind of changes we have. We saw Green and McGee very close to the front right now, sitting in 5th and 6th. We'll see if they're able to bump themselves up during the course of the remainder of our qualification today. Looking at who's running ahead, Brian Canopin now out on track as well. Currently 0.2 over his fastest at a 127.2. We'll see if he's able to gain some positions before the end of this session. Butz, Tsiaba, Givens, and Taylor sitting in the pits with no qualifying time set. Canopin now about a 1/10 off his fastest. 0.2 now at this point. He will look to jump back to the pits and make some changes. Gress, however, 0.2 up from his fastest lap to this point. And right there it is. Will Green jumps to the front. Currently sitting P1 with a 126.7 over Piner's 126.9. Our only 2 126s during the course of this qualifying. Green taking purple in sector 1. George Garton still out there, still holding, well, he was holding purple in sector 3. Gress taking that from him as he drops back to the pits. Piner sitting in second. No purple sectors to this point, so very curious there how he's able to pull that off. But King McGee sitting in 6th right now. Now Piner jumping back in front of Will, leading him by exactly 1/100th of a second with a 126.735 over Will's 126.745, taking purple in sector 2. Hertz continuing to sit in P3. Gress and Garton P4 and 5 respectively, both in the pits at this point, pushing King McGee down. Brian Canopin sitting in 7th, also in the pits. John Tracy and Pickett now 8th and 9th, with Fernandez in 10th. Under 30 seconds left to go in today's qualifying session. We will bring those times up and take a look as qualifying rolls to an end. "41 drivers still on track for race 2 today. Hopefully we can see something much cleaner than we saw at the start of race 1, going into T2 and 3, headed downhill. Just an absolute mess as qualifying comes to an end. Let's bring those times up real quick. We'll keep an eye on the screen, see if anything changes. But as of right now, Piner able to extend his lead over Will Green by 0.3. He's going to share row 1 with Green. Kurtz and Gress in row 2. Garton and McGee in row 3. Canup and Tracy row 4, with Pickett and Arts making up row 5. Rounding out your top 10, we see Moses just moving up there. Fernandez and Moses going to share row 6. Sheffer and Anderson row 7. Haynes and Gable. Tobias Gable very quiet today, able really to just drive on his own. We usually catch him in at least 1 or 2 battles, but the first race, he really was spread out, able to just cruise along. Biscotto and Kisar, row 9, with Blanchett and DJ in row 10. Very little changes as qualification rolls to an end. Piner, still out on track, takes purple in sectors 2 and 3. Finishing out right there. And there we have it. That is your qualifying 2 timetable. Piner and Green again in row 1. Kurtz and McGee in row 2. Gress and Garton row 3. Canup and Tracy row 4. Pickett and Gable jumping himself up right at the end to put himself P10. Going to share row 5 with Pickett. As we prepare for the race 2 today. This one again happening at 5 p.m. so in the daylight, unlike our last, which was in the dark. Great to see this many drivers on track for a sprint race, even at Donington. See if we can clean things up a little bit for race 2, lap 1 today. We are set, ready to go. A full grid at Donington for race 2. Sean Piner, Tritium Racing leading the pack in the Porsche. Will Green right there in row 1 with him. Kurtz and McGee making up row 2. Gress and Garton row 3. Canup, this time we see now, quali ban on the first race due to a car change, but now able to qualify for race 2, putting himself in 7th. Don Tracy, Daniel Pickett, both up there, and Tobias Gable this time getting himself into P10. Our drivers get ready to start the formation lap. We want to thank everybody for being here today. I want to thank Coach Dave Academy and Next Level Racing for sponsorship of Box 3 Motorsports Season 2. One of the things I forgot to mention as we wait for the race to start. Forgot to mention again, the 24 Hours of Imola is coming up April 16th, just 2 weeks away. We will be here. You can watch it all right here from 10 a.m. UTC on Saturday, April 16th, all the way through to the 17th on Sunday. We are giving away from Apex Sim Racing a button box vertical mount V2 that will be given to a random driver that completes the race. 24-hour race being a team event, we want to make sure we give that away at the end of that race. So again, if you're interested in watching that, we will be here for the entire 24 hours. It's going to be a long weekend for this boy, I can tell you that. A long weekend for the drivers as well. We got a 5 p.m. race start. Our track temperature of 20 C. We've got sunshine for the next 30 minutes. No issues with rain. We watch Tobias Gable warm up tires. Get ready for the start of race 2. As we said, Piner. Yeah, reading Greeny and looking at Piner at the same time. Piner and Green sharing row 1 today. Kurtz, McGee in row 2. Gress and Garton in row 3. Canopin and Tracy making up row 4 with Pickett and Gable in row 5. Christoph Arts and Fernandez right behind them in row 6. Chris Moses, Sheffer making up row 7. Anderson and Haynes row 8 with Biscotto qualifying this time. Row 9 with Kisar. Blanchett and DJ making up row 10. We're focusing on DJ just to show off that very fancy Box 3 livery on that Porsche. Our drivers drop into double file, looking to start race 2 today. We are here for another 20 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Stick with us. We wait for the green flags to drop and send us into T1 of race 2. And right there at Seabook heading in... No, not Seabook. Who headed into the pits? Who took the pit dive? We are green light and ready to go for race 2 at Donington. Piner holding the inside over Will Green, able to maintain through T1. We jump back and take a look at the rest of the pack. Drivers are off course again. Maybe not as bad this time, however, a little door banging, but otherwise people keeping it relatively clean through the downhill of Sector 1. Looks like a lot of drivers causing themselves some issue, but I don't see a lot of door banging going on or things that are causing incidents from other drivers. However, things have changed up front insanely because, oh my lord, we gotta jump back. Gress now running up front, and it looks like well over 15 seconds ago, as Gress, King, McGee, Garton, Arts, and Green. Quite a change. Piner nowhere to be found. As I go looking for him down the list, Piner has dropped into the pits almost instantly. So obviously some trouble up front, something we were unable to capture, but we'll go looking for. Try and jump back to this replay real quick. We watch for Piner up front. And right there is where it happened at the front of the pack, ladies and gentlemen. Piner getting punted around, obviously losing a ton of space. King McGee now leads with Gress and Garton right there. Will Green able to take position over Christoph Arts. Brian Canopin into the pits as well. So King McGee now leads this pack of 5. Haynes getting around Blanchette, taking up P8. And G. Steven getting himself up into P12 with the pass on Biscotto. Gress now under great pressure from Garton, trying to keep the door closed as he also looks to make his attack on McGee. A lot of cars sitting in the pits. Thomas able to clear Blanchette now, moving into the top 10 in P9. We catch up with Aguilar now under pressure from DJ. DJ making full use of the curb. And now looking to keep Soul at bay as well. And a tight cut there from DJ. Oh my. That's not good at all. DJ somehow able to sneak through on the inside like that. And a lot of sliding going on. Aguilar sliding through that corner. Kurt's able to move himself back up into P14. Now DJ running wide. Is the door open for Kurtz to sneak by? It looks like it is. Yannick Kurtz moving back up into P13 now. We got to jump up front as Green applies pressure to Garton for P3. King McGee as well. Gress now applying pressure for P1. McGee holding the inside, but Gress is right there. Givens and Biscotto both off track right now as well. Biscotto diving into the pits. So King McGee giving himself a little breathing room as Garton continues to feel the pressure from Will Green behind him. Arts as well right there, slowly closing that gap to Green. And a very quiet gainer so far. Two of them actually. We'll talk about both, but Wangle Snatcher up into P7. Haynes applying pressure, but still gotten himself up into P7 so far. And here's another one. Tobias Gable qualified in 10th, now sitting in P6 by just avoiding the troubles, right? We've seen this before with drivers, just avoiding problems and quietly moving up through the ranks to get themselves up there. Kevin Huffman off track further back, now losing position to Gray, Coffin, and Brown. Wangle Snatcher and Haynes are going to go side by side into the final corner before we head back down that start-finish straight. Wangle Snatcher with the inside, but we'll see if it's enough. Santos and Kurtz just back a little bit further, playing the same game right now. We saw Haynes slide a little bit, so the gap from Wangle Snatcher opening up. But Yannick Kurtz now ensuring that Rogerio Santos does not have a column race as he looks to open a gap. Haynes now yellow flag, the battle we were watching earlier as we watched Kurtz go by. Haynes yellow flag now dropping to about 4 seconds back from Wangle Snatcher for P7. So Wangle Snatcher feeling a little bit of relief. Garton and Green continue to battle for P3. Garton holding purple lap during this race with a 127.172. Just edging out King McGee by about 1/100th of a second. Gress still running in third as Green makes a bouncy kind of thing going on there. I don't know what that was, but apparently it worked for him because he's now moved up into P3 ahead of Garton. Let's not forget though, Christoph Arts is still back there waiting to see what kind of opportunity he might open up. And, you know, we saw a spin from Green during race 1. Obviously that can happen again, and I think Arts, you know, again, slowly reeling these guys in as they battle might give him the opportunity to take at least one, if not both these positions, and get himself a podium before the end of today's race. Just over 10 minutes left to go. The halfway point of today's second of 2 sprint races at Donington Park. Check in with King McGee. Gress still right there, has not really let up during the entirety of this race so far. And now backmarker traffic going to play a factor as they catch up to Pickett. Will Green now about a second and a half back from McGee and Gress. Garton's still there with him. You know, so never mind passing for position. Where do you look to make the play on the back marker? Hopefully they're giving clean signals like Pickett did right there to give you the opportunity to get by. But that doesn't always happen, and it's not always easy to do depending on where you are on track, especially something as tight as Donington. Kurtz and G. Steven again going to battle. Kurtz able to make his way around, but he's got the outside. Far enough ahead to tighten it in and claim P10, pushing G. Steven outside that top 10. Our front end drivers now spreading out other than King McGee and Gress. These guys going to continue to battle. Coming around for another lap, and again, just hammered in traffic at this point. We'll see if either one of them is able to create opportunity using that traffic. Either open the gap or swing for a pass. This kind of defense is so hard to play because, you know, especially as the back marker, You want to let the faster drivers through. They're racing for position, but maybe you are as well. And it's very easy to let the driver that you're battling against through the same gap you're giving to the faster driver. You have to be very careful during this situation. And there we see it right there. And guess what? There it is. Brown. Oh no. Where am I at here? I lost track of the drivers. Sheffer opens the door for McGee and Gress and ends up, Givens opens the door and ends up losing position to people he was racing against. That's kind of what I was talking about a second ago, right? It's the kind of thing you gotta watch for. You want to open the door for those faster drivers, and a lot of times it may put you in trouble with the people you're actually racing against. So let's see if King, McGee, Gress, and now Will Green, tightening up that gap, are able to clear Zap Brannigan. The track looking relatively clear after that, so Zap, I'm sure, going to give these guys opportunity to get on by as he flies to the inside. Oh, and McGee spins. Was there a tap? Let's go back and take a look. Was there a tap right there from Gress? There was a little tap from Gress right in the corner was all it took. But Gress drops himself back behind McGee, but that means he let Will Green sneak by. So Will Green, now your number one pole sitter. King, McGee, and Gress right there behind him. And these two are going to continue to battle. Gress looking for any opportunity. Giving back the position to McGee, doing the right thing. Doing the right thing after that tap in T1. And, no doubt, I'm sure, not Gress's fault. Look, I don't want to say not Gress's fault. He ended up hitting McGee, right? So, obviously, the incident falling back on Gress. My point being is, both of these guys hung up behind Zap Brannigan, a slower driver, okay? Not a bad driver, but a slower driver. And McGee having to get a little harder on the brakes than Gress was expecting means all of a sudden you're going to tap somebody, right? It happens. So certainly very close here to the end. Will Green stretching the lead out to just about 1 second over Gress and Garton. I'm sorry, over McGee and Garton. McGee and Gress. Garton catching up behind these guys, however, as McGee and Gress continue to battle. Excuse me for that, ladies and gentlemen. Zap Brannigan doing his best to clear a path for both of these drivers. McGee, Gress, and now Garton able to clear Zap as the back marker. Will Green extending his lead to 1.5 seconds. King, McGee now even stretching out over Gress and Garton by about 7/10 each. Battles have all been at the front during these two races today. 4 minutes left in our second race today. King, McGee continuing to hold Gress and Garton at bay as Will Green clears another back marker. Chief Blaze taking a look further back. Adam Thomas in the Audi looking to hold Kurtz at bay until the end of the race for P8. Santos and DJ battling down the front stretch as well. DJ seeing an opportunity with Gress rubbing a little grass. Not quite there to take it though, but Thomas and Kurtz. We're side by side with Kurtz able to blow by into the chicane and secure P8 from Thomas. Oh, and McGee and Gress off track. Let's back it up real quick and see what happened through that last corner. McGee and Gress both losing position now to Garton after that incident. A turn in and a push and another nudge, and Garton sneaks himself around the outside. Now sitting in P2 with Gress, McGee, now Art's even closing the gap to under 1 second behind these guys. Will Green's lead extended now to 4.8 seconds. It's his race to lose with only 1:45 left to go in our second race today. Garton feeling the pressure, unable to make any plays up until this point. The incident between Gress and McGee giving him the shot to take P2. But Gress is right there. We will see how wide Garton can make that BMW. King McGee now green as well. King McGee back. We'll have to go back and take a look. Now back into P5. Art's able to get by. Gress and Garton the battle though. On our minute left, you see Will Green there on your screen to the left. Plenty of time. 5.3 seconds at this point. And Cole Gress pull one more position out from Garton. Santos and DJ are going to continue to battle to the end as well. We'll try and keep our eyes back here. Their final lap at this point. Should be. Only 7 seconds left. Kurtz and Haynes as well. Kurtz getting himself into 7th. But right now, it's tight between Garton and Gress. We will watch this right till the end. Will Green with that 5-second lead. Garton closes it up, coming in down into this hard right-hand turn, looking for the inside line. We'll see who's got the speed coming out. Garton able to hold on so far. Will Green is your winner of race 2. Garton able to hold on for P2, and Gress, P3, Christoph Artz ending up in P4. As we watch King McGee come across P5. We'll jump back here to Santos and DJ, however. Wangle Snatcher P6. Kurtz in P... Oh, somebody left. Oh, I hate when people leave so soon because it just blew out all my positions. I can't tell who did what. But Santos and DJ looking to make that last minute pass. Unable to do it though. Santos holds on to P11 with DJ in P12. Retro Coffin able to make the pass and get around Comiskey before the end of the race as the drivers start playing. Kevin Hoffman going to hold on to P16 with John Tracy right there behind him. And that is race 2, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me today. Thank you for being here for Box 3 Motorsports. Will Green, the winner of race 2 at Donington Park today. Just fantastic race. We had some big incidents. Let's not lie. Let's not you know, lie about it. We had some huge incidents today. some that probably should have been avoided, but some also just some straight up racing incidents. So hopefully the guys are all set and ready to go. Don't forget, if you enjoy sim racing, if you want to sim race with a group that is about community first and sim racing second, exclamation point box in the chat. Come and join us. We'd love to have you for both PC and Xbox ACC. We've got Dirt Rally 2.0 League championships that run, and coming soon, coming very soon. We're kind of hashing some final things out, but coming very soon, the iRacing. We're going to get that started as well. And that opens us up to a lot of opportunity for road, dirt road, oval, and dirt oval racing through the iRacing platform. So I hope if that's what you're into, you'll come and join us. My name is Adam Thursby. I want to thank again everybody for being here. You guys are all fantastic. I want to thank Huff and DT Bubs for their subscriptions today. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much for supporting the league. And we will be back next Sunday. Let's jump over to it real quick because I always forget. There's so many seasons we got going on. It's unbelievable. We're back next week for my favorite, Mount Panorama, right up there with Spa as one of my favorite circuits. We're going to be back here next week for Mount Panorama Standard Racing, 45 minutes, 20-minute qual. So be sure and join us right here. You guys are awesome. Drivers are awesome. Thank you so much to everybody, and you guys have yourselves a great weekend and an awesome week at work. Thank you.